Good evening, everyone. I'm extremely delighted to be here. My greetings to dignitaries from the state. This is actually also my state, but I'm coming to Odisha after a really long break. I'm born and brought up in Rourkela. My last visit to Bhubaneswar probably was 2017. I've not been fortunate enough to see the state grow so much. So much of me being in Odisha today is a lot of surprise. So thank you for being here today evening. I have a very brief talk about the state of cyber. What I'm going to talk about is how in the evolving threat landscape and the change in dynamics of how corporations, government, defense, or the country as a whole is preparing for Industry 4.0 that's pretty much driven by digital transformation, where cybersecurity is key and essential to every part of it. Trillions of lines of code. It is a truth that digital transformation pushed us towards automation in such a way that it resulted in explosion of IT. Of course, in terms of technologies that we had never ever seen. Would you not be surprised if I told you that just 15 years from today, we did not have Alexa. Just 15 years from today, we never had the Amazons. From 15 years from today, we never had discussions around AI. Right? So a lot has happened in the last decade or so. But what has happened is with every inherent new thing of technology that has been given in our hands, it has exposed us to more and more cyber threats, right? So today, the number of lines of code across all things that we use is more than the number of stars in the Milky Way. I'm not sure if anybody is counting, but it is true. And every company today is a software company, regardless of whether or not you're an IT company, but everybody is writing tons and tons of software. Either they're writing it themselves, or they're actually having their industry partners to write it for them. But be it banking, be it insurance, be it any industry, manufacturing, education, hospitality, you see that a lot has changed because of digital transformation, and that is brought in by people writing tons and tons of code, which means a lot of vulnerabilities as well. I'm not sure if this room is unaware of what a vulnerability is. A vulnerability is, let's say in its simplest form, a virus, a malware, a misconfiguration, something that keeps you away from running your business securely. Let's call it a vulnerability. So that introduces more and more vulnerabilities. Now, billions of new assets being added. Look at the overwhelming number. Over 27 billion devices connected, and we plan to reach 55.7 billion devices by the end of 2025, which is this year. So looking at all these devices, they're connected. Now, when I say billions of new assets, think of it as not every IT element is an asset. Not a laptop, not a router, not a switch, not a firewall, but anything, mobile devices, industrial IoT, right? Or even complex things like cloud and containers, or even AI. Everything is a digital asset today, right? And that exposes you to tons and tons of vulnerabilities. Never goes a day where you do not hear of a data breach. Never goes a week that you do not hear of large corporations getting breached and ransom being exchanged by ransomware, right? So millions of developers also. Today we have 45 million people by 2030. So Qualys is a cybersecurity company. We started back in 1999, and we recently released a true risk report. If any of you have a smartphone, you can capture that QR and download the report at no cost. What we found out was there is a massive gap in terms of playing catch up. The bad guys are running faster than the good guys. So today, when I find a problem on a system, it takes on an average 31 days almost to fix the problem. But the bad news is the time to weaponize that problem is a mere 19.5 days. That means the hacker or the bad guy has an 11 plus day advantage to take over your business, to take over your data. Now, we are not able to catch up. Now, what's happening here is risk also goes up with time. Now, what does that mean is you spend ton of time trying to detect a problem or detect a vulnerability. Then you spend ton of time trying to prioritize your problems. Now, think of a lake, and the lake has a lot of crocodiles, and you are on a boat. So when you see all these crocodiles, you go and attend the crocodile that's closest to the boat first, right? And not the one that's farthest away from you. So time to prioritize, which one to fix first, which one has the ability to bring my business down, which one has the ability to steal my data, steal my money, right? You spend time in prioritizing. Then you spend time in communicating, that is letting the right teams in your organization know what they need to do to fix the problem. And then actually spending time in fixing the problem. It is no different than the analogy of a human body. You go get scanned, you find tons of problem, but if you have to prioritize between a problem with your heart versus a problem with your skin, you probably would go and prioritize your heart first, right? So that's the situation here with cybersecurity. Now, more risks are also coming from misconfigurations. Things like cloud, things like AI, all these upcoming technologies are also exposing us to more risk, which is far more complex in nature to fix. Now, CISOs, I'm going to assume that you know this terminology called CISOs. CISO stands for Chief Information Security Officers. Every company must have one. It is a regulatory requirement that every company that does business with clients or public and actually is protecting other people's data or sensitive data or privacy data must have a CISO. Now, CISOs have additional challenges now. What are the challenges? Now, the problem is the same, but there are 4 different people who are asking him the same problem. The first is the board, right? The CISO reports into a board, and the board is asking the CISO, how much cyber risk do we have? Define that to me in terms of dollar. What happens if we don't take cybersecurity seriously? What is the business at risk? What is the amount in terms of money that is at risk? So the board is asking him this question. Now, the CEO of the company, which is a functional head, is asking him, we have spent time, money, effort, and team in building a cybersecurity function in the company. Is that strategy even working? Are we spending money on the right things? Because this is our investors' money, our customers' money. Then comes the auditor, right? Every business function that needs to be audited has to have an auditor, right? So the auditor is saying, are you compliant with so-and-so regulation? If you're a bank, then you have a regulator. If you're an insurance, you have a regulator. If you are manufacturing, you have a regulator. So the regulator's question to you is, are we compliant with this regulation, this RBI regulation, this SEBI regulation, and how do you prove it, right? And the last guy is the CFO, the Chief Finance Officer. He's like, you came to us asking for a budget to buy a shiny piece of toy to do cybersecurity. You bought this product, firewall, this, that. Prove it to me that it works, right? Now, the CFO says, we gave you this money assuming that you're asking for something that will protect the organization. So you have got a line of responsibility towards the money that you spent, which was approved by the CFO. So one similar question, 4 different ways to look at it. Now, what's causing the problem? The CISO is thinking, in order to have everything in control, the first thing I need is knowing what's there in my environment. The beginning of a strategy, if you guys have read a book called The Art of War, you cannot protect when you do not know what's out there first, right? So unless you see something, you can't design a protection strategy to it. So what's there in my environment, in my IT environment? Then comes, what is my current cyber risk? Can I do a gap assessment to understand what is exposed that is uncontrollable or is accessible to the bad guys? The third thing is, how do I reduce my cyber risk? And then, am I protected? If I spent all this time, money, and effort, am I protected? And how am I doing compared to the peers in the industry, right? Now, so what is causing the problem? Let's see, the problem is being caused by volume and speed at which the attacks are happening. So the attack surface is expanding. When I say the attack surface is expanding, think of all these ever-growing devices, think of all these ever-growing vulnerabilities, think of all these ever-growing misconfigurations. That's exponentially growing. Then comes prioritization, knowing when is the right time to fix what problem. Then must do more with less. Now, think of this as, we Indians, right? So we would like to do more with less. In a household, when your clothes become very old, you repurpose it to be a pocha or a piece of cloth to clean things, right? So we are really good at doing that. Now, I must be able to do more with less. I can't be spending new money to solve the same old problem, right? So I need improved ROI. So what does Qualys do? So this is where Qualys comes in. Now, where is Qualys? Qualys is a very silent name in cybersecurity. We're not as flashy as the Microsoft, the Amazon, the Cisco, or the Google. But what we do is, we are everywhere. You cannot go by spending a day without touching a piece of technology that is not protected by Qualys. But we're not flashy. We're not visible to you there. If you did a UPI transaction, I protected it. If you have a bank account, I'm protecting it. 92 banks in India use Qualys. If you think of any IT company, uses Qualys. Think of any insurance, uses Qualys. Think of any car manufacturer globally, uses Qualys. If you have an Apple phone, protected by Qualys. If you have an Android phone, protected by Qualys. If you have an Aadhaar card, protected by Qualys. But you're not flashy out there. So what we have been doing in the last 30 years, we are busy, and we are busy protecting the world. Now, Qualys has a platform. A platform is more than just a piece of product or a technology. A platform is something that encompasses a lot of abilities in one single place. It allows you to do more with less. So we also bring in extreme automation so that you don't have to reduce people. Our purpose of automation is to make sure that you do the mundane tasks fast, without any issues, without any problem, and be able to deal with problems at scale. That's why automation. Then comes speed, and then comes cost. So Qualys is a true platform that helps you reduce your risk from cyber attacks by doing things at scale. And it doesn't matter the nature of device. It could be cloud, it could be microservices, it could be laptops, desktops, mobile phones, cameras, anything. So at the heart of the platform, we have all these sensors. All these sensors are purpose-built based on the nature of device that I'm trying to protect, right? Because a laptop needs a different security, than a mainframe. Or a laptop requires a different security than an IP camera, right? So we have all these purpose-built sensors that feed data back to the platform, and the platform does all the heavy lifting and tells you all the intelligence. Like what's wrong, what's about to go wrong, what you should attend today, what can wait until your kid goes to school. It has all the information from there. We are also collecting threat intel data from 30 plus different sources to ensure that we are able to map a problem to a known threat indicator so that you can prioritize well. If I told you that you have a health condition, I did not give you any additional intelligence, you will not prioritize it. Until I told you, if you do not fix this, you might go blind. Then you approach that problem with a slight more seriousness. So we call it Qualys True Risk. What True Risk does is it looks at a lot of parameters, gives you one unified score, and the score tells you on a scale of 0 to 1,000 how you are doing and what has contributed to that score and how can that score go down and what's that score over a large window of time. So if your IT is doing a good job, the risk is going down or the risk is going up across your critical crown jewels in your organization. So what you can do is you can do better cybersecurity with inbuilt risk intelligence. You can do faster remediation, means not just telling you the problem, but also really going and fixing it. And we also do this called cybersecurity asset management. Knowing your organization inside out and outside in There are three kinds of devices that we talk about in our industry. One is the known knowns, means I know that it is out there. I bought it, I kept it, it's there. The other one is known unknowns, means I bought it, I didn't care about it, but it's somewhere there. It's not completely unknown to me. The third one is unknown unknowns. That is the one that you must be really bothered about, the unknown unknowns. So what Qualys does is gives you an inside out and an outside in perspective of how exposed are you to an attacker, to an hacker, right? The hacker is not is not a smarter guy than you. Just that your intentions are different. His intention is to create sabotage, your intention is to protect your organization. So look at your organization inside out and outside in. We have this thing called cybersecurity asset management. And then comes remediation. Yeah, is that? So we are able to find problems and fix problems as well on the same platform. So what's our mission? Our mission is to reduce cyber risk in a measurable way, and that's where we are headed. That's all my time. Thank you.